Florencia Abbondanza is a film producer, grassroots organizer, and long-term activist with Uruguay's Frente Amplio. She combines creative storytelling with political commitment, bringing fresh energy to one of Latin America's most enduring left-wing coalitions. Currently, she is serving as secretary of the Frente Amplio's 1001 list in the Chamber of Deputies, and she is part of a new generation helping to renew the movement's participatory spirit and keep its transformative vision alive. Thank you for being with us, Florencia. Also, we have Mauro Conti. He is a political scientist, activist, and member of Uruguay's Communist Party. Rooted in the students' movement and grassroots organizing in Montevideo's Aguada neighborhood, he brings a strong commitment to collective action and democratic renewal within the Frente Amplio. As the committee's delegate to the Frente Amplio Coordinating Committee, he represents a generation working to strengthen the movement's unity and deepen its participatory tradition. So, without further ado, thank you very much for being with us. Flor, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation, and Carol and Maria for all your work, and all the Ulex team, and also Mauro, who is a comrade here in the Frente Amplio. Thank you for thinking of us and letting us share our coalition movement model, so unique, so distinctive, and we are very proud of. I'm going to share a presentation. Tell me if you, I think you are seeing it.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to start. I'm a little bit nervous because I am not so used to speaking English, but because I love Frente Amplio and how we are we work, and I want to try to do it very right for you to understand and to collaborate with this discussion. This presentation try to explain very briefly what the Frente Amplio is, how it works internally, and why it is its way of organizing politics very unique in the world. The Frente Amplio is usually described as the Uruguayan left, but it's only that's only like a part of the story, because it's a coalition movement at the same time, a coalition of political parties and currents, and also a movement rooted in social organizations and local grassroots committees that in Spanish we call comités de base. And it is simultaneously, it's not only one thing or another. And that's very different for any other coalition, left coalition that we know. And that is always understanding how it works means understanding this double nature, coalition movement, like at the same time. First, it's important to talk about the historic roots of the Frente Amplio. First, in 1929, the FEU, that is university students from University Federation, the United organization. It is founded in 1929. Then in the 60s and 50s and 60s, the union, students, and left parties start to converge. And in 1965, it's something very big that happened here in Uruguay, that it was the People's Congress, el Congreso del Pueblo, that was it had two significant things. It was the first step to create the Unified National Trade Union Center. Now, in that moment, CNT, now it's called PIT-CNT, because after the dictatorship and other process. And in this People's Congress also emerged a unified platform, programmatic platform from what all the students, workers, and people who were there wanted for the Uruguay. This unified vision from the people has a lot to do with the founding of Frente Amplio in 1971. Because all the social organizations were looking for an alternative to both traditional parties and the authoritarianism that it was there, and then was coming with the dictatorship in the 70s. So at the same time, it was the moment of Pacheco Areco government, democratic government, but very authoritarian. And the Frente Amplio was like natural, a natural thing. After all of these unions, the students, the workers, the units in Uruguay is something we have worked all of the century. And it has sense to have a left political party of units also. In 71, the Frente Amplio is found with socialist, communist, Christian Democrats, sectors from the traditional parties that they weren't happy with the way they were going, independent left intellectuals and activists from other ideas came together to create the Frente Amplio as a broad political tool for the people, of the people. Since then, the Frente Amplio has been an electoral coalition, a party of government, and a space of long-term strategic debate on the country's development. In this presentation that then I will leave you, this is a little short film who shows from 1971, who shows the founding of the grassroots committees. That it's like history in itself, and the speech of Liber Sereni, who was one of our biggest political dirigents. And it's only in Spanish because I didn't find any subtitles, but there is the visual, it's very important. And maybe it's in YouTube, and maybe it has like CC automatically. Then, well, it's important for us right now in our statutes, our identity principles. We are anti-imperialist, anti-oligarchic, democratic, popular, and since 2016, we also became anti-patriarchal and anti-racist. We are working on all of that. Nothing is perfect. We are not like the perfect left coalition. We have to work this every day. Every day we have to work that we are anti-imperialist, anti-oligarchic, anti-patriarchal, and anti-racist. It's not easy for anyone. But we know that this is what we share. Also, it's not a single class party. We are a multi-class political force, and it's clearly opposed to oligarchic power and big capital, and includes sectors of what in Latin America we call the national bourgeoisie, when they share a national development project. It's not only working class only. We are very we have a lot of diversity in the Frente Amplio, and that's one of our like the things that make us different. Well, no, before inside the Frente Amplio, we have Marxists, Social Democrats, Christian social activists, environmentalists, feminists, people coming from trade union or social movements, and people with no party background at all, that are only from Frente Amplio. Not everyone has a party like Communist Socialist, MPP. MPP is the movement from Pepe Mujica. There is a lot of people who has a party or a current, and a lot of people who are like independent from only Frente Amplio. They are from the movement. What we keep this very plural, it's a common programmatic base, a shared interpretation of Uruguay problems, and a very strong culture of internal democracy and collective decision making. And this is what now I'm going to explain, and later I'm going to come back to the shared interpretation of Uruguayan problems. So, coalition and movement, how the Frente Amplio works. We say like it's like an hourglass, and now I'm going to show the images and why. Because in the bottom we have the grassroots committees, in the middle the tactical and daily bodies, and top we have a Congress who elects or take decisions about the strategic decisions. And it's something like this. In one hand, you have sectors and parties, no? Different currents, the Socialist Party, the Communist Party, the Broad Front List, 7-Eleven, and many others that form the coalition. And on the other hand, we have the movement that are the grassroots committees that are from neighborhoods, from the local territories. And in all of these organisms, like the Congress, the plenary, national plenary, the political bureau, then in Spanish we call Mesa Política, the secretariat that now I'm going to explain when it works. There is like a different relation between movement and coalition. The Congress is one of the more important spaces where we discuss basically two things: the program, the platform for the government that we are going to fight for and then make it possible if we win, and the strategic decisions for the political party also, not only for the government, like how the party works. That's in the Congress, we approximately are 80% delegates from the grassroots committees. You have to go to your committee to be a delegate and win the vote, because everyone wants to go to a Congress. And the coalition only have the 20%, because only the national can go for the coalition. In the Congress, all the national plenary has a vote, but that's only 200 people. And in a Congress, we are 1,200 people approximately. In Uruguay, we are 3 million people. It's a very small, I explain this because maybe 1,000 people is not a lot in everywhere, but in a 3 million people country, 1,000 1,300 people, it's a lot of people in one place taking decisions. So in Congress, most of it are from the grassroots. In national plenary, it's 50-50. 50 are from the grassroots. I am a delegate in the national plenary from the Frente Amplio from the grassroots. And the other half is from the coalitions. The political bureau, it's the weekly reunion. Here I have like how the frequency, like a Congress is every 3 or 2 years. The national plenary every 3-4 months. The political bureau is every week, every Monday we have a meeting, and there is a delegation of the national plenary. We are only like 20 people. In the national plenary there are 200 people, and every 4 months. In political bureau, it's 20 people, but every week secretary are like is a part of the political bureau, and it's every week also, or as needed for the president of the Frente Amplio, who is like a figure by itself. It's not from movement or coalition. It's from both. He's the president. So this is like the most complicated thing to understand how it works, why, and this is very complicated, and it's like the key to understand why we work so well, because our rules are very like complicated maybe, but they are the guarantee that we have this way to understand and this to get along, and if I have an idea, I have all these places to go, and if it's not in the political bureau, it's in a national plenary or is it in a congress, but you can get your idea, that you have to convince all your grassroots committee, you have to go and convince a lot of people to get your idea, getting in somewhere like a political or in the government, but you have a way that your idea can be like made. So let me how I am in time, because I didn't.
Yeah, you're good. We still have around 15-20 minutes for your presentations. More, no, see, 20-25 minutes for the whole presentation.
Perfect. So this way, I made this like understanding in a 5-year like cycle that is from a government. Here, the elections are every 5 years. Like we start here every 1st March. This year it started a new government from the Frente Amplio. We are here now, like arriving the final of the 1st year. Next year we are going to have a strategic congress. It was we defined it at the beginning of this year. We are going to take decisions about how is going to the Frente Amplio of the next 20 and 30 years going to work, because we are a 55-year-old political party, and we have to think about the future, because most of the people, one of our problems right now is most of people, it's not so young, and why is happening that is something that we have to discuss, what is happening with the youngest generations. Then we have to we are going to make internal elections, national internal elections, to elect not only the president from the Frente Amplio, that maybe is the same that is today, not because we are going to change it, but also we have to elect all the new national plenary. That is a very important election for us, and it's all, everything is activist, militant, grassroots, delegates. We are, everything is honorary. It's a militant work. Nothing. No one. We don't earn any money for this, and there are a lot of hours. So it's necessary to change, because for example, maybe I have like 20 hours meetings a week because of being in such national plenary and bureau and secretary, and all of the places take hours of your week and your life, and it's necessary to change. And I go like for 6 months, another comrade goes for another 6 months, and that's the way we can do it. Then there are another years that we are doing other things. And then the year before the election, in the 5th year of the government, we have elections, national elections. And the year before that, we have always a programmatic congress when we write the platform for the next government. So this is something every year, every 5 years we have the programmatic congress, and in the middle the strategic congress. And that's a moment when we see us all the militants, all the activists in Frente Amplio, and we have very profound discussions about our future, the Uruguayan future. And all these reunions and reunions are making this community and Frente Amplismo and like a culture, and we set in the same place. It's a lot of time, but it's been the key of this. This is a part of my committee, of my grassroots committee, and we are very happy because it was some years ago. He's the old guy from the center is Luis Escarpa, that we miss him a lot because he died 2 years ago, and we named our committee by his name, Luis Escarpa. Así que if you come to Uruguay, you can go to Grassroots Committee Luis Escarpa. The committees have names. The names, a lot of the names of the grassroots committees are names of important comrades, distinct activists, and a lot of comrades who were disappearing from the dictatorship or were missing. The names of the committees have a lot of affection and history. This is an image of the National Congress, something I've already talked about. In the National Congress, we have the highest decision-making body, approves programs, and change of any statutes. And resolutions requires 4/5 for majority. This is very important because we don't take decisions only by 50% of the people. For any big decision, we have to achieve the 4/5 of the decision of the votes, because the consensus for us it's very important. The unity, the concept because the unity is what it keeps us alive. This is very important. We talk a lot about the unity on diversity. The National Plenary oversees political line, coordinates national action, daily leadership, political bureau meets weekly. I've said all of this. And the president of the Frente Amplio is the sole spoken person. We all are behind him. We trust him that because now it's him, it has been hers, but we trust that he is the person, and it's a dialectic relation. He trusts on the Frente Amplio, and the Frente Amplio trusts in him. This is how movement organization works. We have the grassroots committees on the bottom, if you want. Then we have another structure that is the local coordinator or departmental level, depends on where on the country it's, and then to a national plenary. If you have an idea, like for a for a political policy, you go to your grassroots committee, and then if they all approve that idea, it goes to the local coordinator, and if all of the local coordinator approves your idea, it goes to a national plenary, and that's the way like it goes for this. So I have already said the political backbone of the Frente Amplio. The grassroots committees are like the difference in other coalitions, because it's from Frente Amplio itself. It's not from the parties. This image of activity in the street when we were opposition. So I've already said this. Well, strength of the model, deep participatory democracy, long-term unity between diverse actors, strong protection against personalism. We try to make collective decisions about collective decisions, ability to incorporate new movements, and program built from below. We all defend our program, our platforms. That's very important for us. This is there is a book that maybe you can find because it's from Cambridge University, but it's doctor's paper degree. It calls How Party Activism Survives. It's about the structure of Frente Amplio from three Uruguayan political scientists, Verónica Pérez, Rafael Piñeiro, and Fernando Rosenblatt. And within the Frente Amplio, organizational rules grant activists a significant voice, which imbues activist participation with a strong sense of agency. This explains activists' participation with a strong sense of efficiency. And then, how I was saying at the beginning, renewed participation is one of our current challenge. Operationalizing anti-patriarchal and anti-racist commitments, that's something we are working a lot lately, especially anti-patriarchal problems, because we are all in this planet, expanding representation, bringing new generations in, and updating organization culture that we are working in the next Congress from next year. The Frente Amplio works because it combines pluralism, unity of action, grassroots democracy, and programmatic coherence, and this unity in diversity. We are all a unit, but from everywhere, from Marxists, social democrats, grassroots independence, and that's the key. Like working in that unit is what make us endure. Like being a 55-year-old political party, and I hope for 100 years more, because there is something that unites, and it's not only mystic, it's confident, and we are transforming the country when we have the opportunity. I'm going to stop talking.
Thank you very much, Florencia. There is some very interesting questions already emerging in the chat. We will take them later. We have around 20 minutes for the whole. Mauro, the floor is yours.
I tried the presentation before, and I was in 30 minutes, so I don't know how I will, but okay. Yes, I was going to say that it's of course a pleasure for me to participate in instances like this. I was saying a lot of message about Palestine, so I cannot start without saying free Palestine. I think it's important to say everywhere. Well, first I want to emphasize that this is an opportunity for exchange, to learn from experience we bring from the global south, experience that sometimes are often ignored, but which, like all human constructions, are definitely, how, as Flor said, imperfect. We don't want to say that this is an idyllic war. It is not. Because the experience of political work in the Frente Amplio is not exempt from contradictions, anger, frustration, disappointments, which also comes together, of course, with the immense joy of satisfaction of being an activist to transform our country and change the society in a more democratic way. I think I want to emphasize some concept of what Flor said, and I think it was in the chat some questions about that. Frente Amplio is not anti-capitalism construction, because, for example, me, I am anti-capitalism, but there are some some other comrades, some other partners that are not, and that's the strength of the Frente Amplio, because as Flor said, it's a peculiar construction, political construction, that we call coalition and movements. I find this example crucial to understand the difference with some of the experience we know, because some coalitions or some arrangements between different parties in, for example, Europe or other countries, are like top-down agreement between leaders who choose to make electoral pacts. But the grassroots activities or those spaces rarely come together. Uh, like the grassroots of, for example, I must know in Spain, for example, Unidas Podemos, when it was time, or Sumar now, or whatever, uh, they are like different parties, and they don't have like the spaces to come together. Uh, Here, I can be an activist. I am from the Communist Party, but I feel comrades from the people of the Socialist Party, the Christian Democrats, and best of all, as Flor said also, the people who does not belong to any defined sector. They are all my comrades, and I want to have them with me, with the difference, and well, of course, because one thing that we say is always that we are like unity in the diverse. Okay, we are like, we want to have our agreements first. Uh, as also Flor said, it's a multi-class uh, coalition movement. Uh, that it means that we want to represent different sector of the society. That of course the sectors have contradictions between them. But of course, it has a very close link to labor unions, students' union, and these ties uh, make a strong with us. And I want to clarify something else before sharing my presentation, that will talk about this because this brief introduction. Uh, we have very short ties with unions, with social organizations, but there is a difference here, that is it's not the same the same thing. We have autonomy between organizations. It's not like the workers' union. It's the social. Uh, uh, it's a social part of the Frente Amplio. It's not. We have like similar thoughts or something like that, but also there are contradictions between them, and well, we need to know that to work on that. I will share a small presentation. Sorry. Share here. Okay, here. Uh, I want to share this. This is like a small approximation to the relation between the Frente Amplio and between Frente Amplio as political force, the government, and the uh, social organizations. Well, we have some principle of actions. The first one is unity, as well. We always say it's unity, but it's very important for us. The unity, like to think it's like you can discuss your ideas, you need to express your difference with other sectors, with other people, etc. But it's important to think that after the discussion, we need to be together, because the enemy it's outside. So that is a principle of action very important. The second principle is accumulation of forces, mobilization. That's of course we need to think that after each idea, after each action, we need to think what will happen in society. Like any programmatic uh, will be effective if there is no people like fighting for it, the streets, or talking about with the different with their neighbors and supporting uh, this these ideas. So the mobilization, the accumulation of forces, the organization of people, we need people organized to advance in our program. And the third principle, um, we call the next morning, because I have the the image, the picture of this guy that Thor mentioned. It's called Liber Seregni. It was the first candidate to the presidency from the Frente Amplio, and he was talking about the next morning. It's like thinking of our actions in the next morning. It's like thinking what will happen in the society, in our organization. Uh, we need to think not only in what will cause, in what we want, also in the effects of that, in how we will be tomorrow, to say something um, in that. He had a beautiful phrase that in English it's not so awesome, but who understand Spanish, he said that the Frente Amplio is somos la fuerza constructora, obreros de la construcción de la patria del futuro. It's a beautiful phrase. After you can Google it, but I think it defines us like workers trying to work in the future. We have a document I will send you. We will send you about the relationship between political force, governments, and social organizations. And it guides by basically by three principles. The first is relative autonomy. This is that, of course, the government and the political force are different spaces. They are not the same. Of course, they don't have the same times. Of course, if you need if you are in the government, you will need to do it fast, and the political force needs to discuss the things. So they have some autonomy to decide, but it is guided by a program, by the program decided by the political force, by the Frente Amplio in this case. This is the first thing. They have an autonomy, but it's relative. The government cannot go against the desire and the program that the political force decided. If that happens, it is a problem. The coordination, it's also another principle about, of course, to have this relative autonomy. It's important to have this coordination, like the government and the political force go in the same way. That accumulates for the same thing. And the third principle is responsibility. That means that each person from the political force or from the government takes responsibility for what he's doing, and know that their acts will impact in the government and the political force. If, for example, if we are not following the program for that from what the government was elected, well, it will impact, of course, in the government, but it will impact in the credibility of the political force. So this is important. For example, to show how the grassroots are important, something that Flor said today. For example, in 2015, it was a very big discussion on if Uruguay should enter to the TISA, Trading Service Agreement, a free trade agreement that Europe, United States, and other countries are there about services and free trade. Well, most of the left side was was not thought that it was inconvenient, and well, the government started conversations to start, but after a lot of criticism for that, Tabaré Vázquez, who had been two times president of Uruguay, and he also has been president of the Frente Amplio, decided to give the decision to the national plenary. So if the national plenary of the Frente Amplio decided that Frente Amplio wanted to enter to that agreement, well, we will, and if not, we was going to refuse that. The national plenary decided to not go, and well, the government follow that instructions, and of course, the as Flor said, 50% of that plenary is from the grassroots committee. So it's very important. Me that I am now one can decide at the same time that a lot of personalities. That is very democratic. Of course, the political force has some duties. I want to emphasize on this. I like this issue. The first is, of course, the government control. It needs to govern for all Uruguayans and following the program that was elected that will impact is in the interest of the great national majorities. Second, the programmatic construction, because the political force must transcend the government, it should not end in the government manage. It should like still growing, thinking on the future, and proposing political and constructing a program, creating programmatic constructions, as it says there. And the third one is also the self-construction. The political force cannot be only at the service of the government, and it should strengthen itself to be an actor in the society, despite what the government is doing. And here we have one thing that it's very important for us, that we think about this when I talk about majorities, the great national majorities. Well, we think the society as in blocks, right? The block of power, and our block, the alternative political and social bloc. It means the political organizations as a social organization that want a different society, and want different society and are like objective in that project. As Flor said, this bloc can be characterized as popular, national, democratic, anti-imperialist, anti-oligarchic. This is, I want to clarify, this I am taking the definition from the document. This document was from 2004. We added the two others definitions that Flor mentioned in 2016. Okay. So, of course, we are anti-patriarchal and anti-racist. We need to add there. Of course, classes, class fractions, the organization itself, of course, are, as I said, are ultimately from a social and political bloc with common interests, but also with some difference. This understanding that we have difference, and this should be like something that make us in different places. We can have contradictions, and it is good to have different contradictions and different visions, always knowing that the enemy is not the people who has a different thought of how the society should be more democratic is the people that want to have all the power. So also we need to think, as I have said in the principles, popular struggle and mobilization will be decisive at every juncture in the pursuit and realization of social agreement. We need to decentralize power. It's something that to make democratization deepen, we need to make the people organized. It's important. It's the reason, because it's important to have unions, to have social movements, because that brings us the power to fight against the ones to remain all as it is now. Of course, something happened. The Frente Amplio was in the government from 2005 to 2019, but after that we lose. And when we lose, we decided to have a Congress. As Flor said, we have Congress for a lot of things. And well, what we said on that, we said, okay, the first 15 years later, the Frente Amplio leaves behind a society that enjoys a better standard of living, that has free rights, that can turn to more open, democratic, and pluralistic institutions. Of course, we have a better society, but um, there were errors, especially in the political work. So we say that in some cases there was a certain mobility that was often the result of political inability to truly discuss some issues, in reality to resolve them for us. So the political force has ignored its own organizational structure. That was one issue. And that, well, impacts in being less, in having less people working, in not knowing the issues of our society. Also, we said more than once we focus excessively on management, which is always challenging, but we lack the political attention and conviction in allocating resources to our coordinator department committees and grassroots committees to do more politics in the territories and with the people. So we need to other resolution that is that we need to invest more time and more resources in grassroots committees.
1 minute.
And okay, I am trying to go as far as I can. And finally, we lack the capacity to sustain over time and consolidate hegemony and create power in the hands of civil society, as I said, decentralized power, and the popular movement. In a way, it can be said that the governance was carried out more for the people, so we govern for the people rather than with the people. That was a problem. So what we did with that, we started with a program that was called Frente Amplio Listens to You. We went to more than 300 localities, were visited more than 1,400 meetings were held with different organizations, asking us what they thought about our government, our failures, etc. And more than 80 meetings were held with the local structure of the Frente Amplio, political boards, plenaries, etc. And the delegation, I think that's the most important, were made up of more than 1,100 people. So it's not only the direction that was working on that, it's a lot of militants, of activists. And last, one, this was reflected, for example, in something that was called Look. Look, it was a law from the right government that it has a lot of articles and took from education to security, well, lot of items, lot of things, and we social organizations and Frente Amplio, while we were in pandemic, decided to use a constitutional mechanism to try to make the law stop. So, well, we try to have like to work between the organizations and the Frente Amplio, looking for signatures that we need like the signature of 25% of the people who is able to vote, to make to call an election to decide if this law was going to stay or not. So the Frente Amplio and the social organizations made like 35% of 35% of signatures from the people. So that means that you need at least have talked with at least the half part of your people. And well, this was a big strength of the organization, a big strength of the ties between the Frente Amplio and the social movement. And we think it was the first step to uh, to recover the government that we have again since March. That's all.
Thank you very much, Mauro. That was particularly interesting for us, this proceso de escucha, no, this listening process that you overtook after losing the elections 2 elections ago, and because it was around the time where some of the political parties that were that came from the social movements in Spain were losing power as well, and we were lacking that capacity to go and listen and sit with the social movements and the people to understand what was going on. That's an amazing example. Thank you. Flor, should we go with you to outline a couple of things around values and principles? There are a lot of questions around how do you put those values into practice? How do you sustain that unity that you are talking about? So I'll give it to you, and if you could be
Yes,
brief so that we can open to
very brief.
questions.
I'm not going to talk about everything because it's so complex that it has like a lot of time to explain it. It's very difficult to explain it to someone who didn't born here, because Mauro and I born in democracy, and the Frente Amplio, it was already like a thing, and it was not the biggest party like today. Today we are the party with most votes. Like we are the strongest political party as like for the Frente Amplio, because most of a lot of question was about how you are going to do when you are going if you are a big political party. We are the biggest political party in the go in since 20 years ago, so it's very difficult. That's for sure. We have a document that Carol and Maria has it translated in English. The official document is in Spanish, of course. That this is what I make with different artificial intelligence. But I have to. I would like to take attention in some of these points. There are 122 points, I think, but I would like to see only a few because it's a very profound document that is shared principles and values of the Frente Amplio. This was in 2016, and it was I think that we realized after winning our third government that we had to make this, and we make a congress, of course, to discuss, and then this document is the synthesis of this congress, and the Diversity is an expression of our richness, unity in diversity without exclusions. And it says, this document seeks to articulate the principles and values shared by all Frente Amplio members and our common long-term vision regarding Uruguay in a globalized world, sustainable development, the relationships between the state, the market, the society, and the democratic institutional life. And it's very that we have to explain what is not this document, and it's very Frente Amplist thing that we are like very obsessive with defining what it is and what it is not. And the document does not include definition of principles or values that are not shared by all. From its origins, the Frente Amplio has been a political force in which individuals, groups, sectors have held and may continue to hold their own ideological definitions. Then it does not include a diagnosis of the current reality. It does not include programmatic aspect belonging to our programmatic foundation. It does not include strategic political line. And the things I want to come with you to work with you is freedom, equality, work, justice, solidarity, democracy, and peace are the values upon which this political force has built its historical thinking and identity, and have justified its anti-oligarchic and anti-imperialist reasons for being. From point 9 to 26, you can find the detailed information of each of these points and are very clear about how Frente Amplio thinks about all of these fundamental values. Then in 31, we talk about the popular initiative and participation, the permanent citizen oversight of our work, the defense of political system based on a party plurality. We are very we have everything by written. We know what our rules, el marco, ¿cómo se dice?
The framework.
The framework where we move. That's very important for us. Like we know when it starts and when it finishes. And that's important for our unity. Our struggle for peace and international security. We know that we are part in a world we live in. The left is international or it isn't. So these are very values, very important values for us. And we are. If you are in the Frente Amplio, you have to be okay with all of this. The promoting South by South relations, Mauro talked something about this, not only economic and commercial, but political also. Productive development. This is something we are working a lot right now because we are thinking of the national strategic development. And something that is very important in Uruguay is the network of public institutions that plays a strategic role in this process, and how we are going to development and also the sustainability, that it's what thing right now. Also our vision of a society, a new culture, one that opposes dominant individualism and consumerism. This is very important for us. I think that most of the questions are related to our vision of how the Uruguay we want is not the one we can buy everything and everyone has a lot of money. We want that everyone's be free and equal, and consumption and individualism are not values that we want in our society. And that's very, we have it very clear. And it's very Uruguayan thing. I don't want to, there are a lot of, so much questions that I didn't want to be more profound on this, because everything is written, you can read it, but also I think that we are a country with a strong class consciousness, and that's important. And it wouldn't be fair to talk about the progressives in Uruguay without mentioning Valle in 1904 with the 8-hour law, or women's suffrage in those years, and then Valle in 1945, that were presidents from traditional parties here in Uruguay long before Frente Amplio was an idea. So this is a country who is very progressive itself. We are very small, austere, with lower levels of consumption and individualism, comparing to other countries of the region, maybe not comparing to, I don't know, Asia, but in Uruguay we are like, comparing to other countries, we have a different culture. And something I wanted to say, okay, about the question that was for, I think is important, is that the trust is generated through humanity, promoting leadership that is not based on personality cults, and taking care of those we put in charge. For example, the salaries of the senior leaders are usually capped. It's uncommon for them to earn their full salary. Normally, they donate to a political party most of it. I think this has something to do, but if someone wants to be everywhere and wants to be, they're probably not the best person to be in leadership. We take a lot of care about that things, I think. To be in leadership, one must put one's personal life on hold, because, as I said, one has to participate in many meetings, and you have to be like for the Frente Amplio a lot. So and another thing that is that everything must be discussed. This is one of the why the secretariat is for, because you have to discuss all of the problems to have the confidence with another partners, and talking about everything takes in the secretary in the political bureau. That's like taking care about the things, not it's something that it's a construction. It's not okay, now we have trust everyone. We have a 50-year-old party that made us. We are Frente Amplist. So we are making it every day, in every step, but watching for the persons, to not be personalist, taking care of the things with patience. And maybe we are not very the easy way is not the best way for us. Everything takes 4 months to take a decision of everything, because we have to go to the grassroots, and then to the coordinator, and then to the departmental, and then to the national plenary. And you say, you cannot take decisions. Well, but we are alive. We are alive because of that process, long process. Finish.
Thank you very much, Florencia, Mauro. That was really interesting, and yeah, I don't want to take more time and give the floor to the very interesting questions that have been popping up in the chat. Perhaps just a reflection. I think there has been a couple of words that you have been repeating, and one has to do with contradictions. One was contradictions, and the other one was unity. And I think a lot of the questions are around how do you deal with contradictions, how do you solve conflicts when they emerge, how do you move forward, what kind of structures support that, and then the other one is unity. No, in the paper is something that everyone wants, but then how do you put it into practice? And I think I just want to outline a couple of things that you mentioned, no, around bringing your history to the present constantly. So, like people knowing that history, knowing that is part of your culture and making it making it alive. I think the role of building that kind of narrative. Has been central, or that's what I heard, and and I think it was really interesting the work that you do on vision, no, on building that kind of like ambitious vision to hold the Frente Amplio together. No? So I'm gonna give the floor to Gertze, which is kind of talking a little bit about asking a question around decision making and structures. We have organized them a little bit in terms of topics. So if you don't mind, and I mean all of you, that I give the floor to certain people so that they are a little bit more organized. Thank you. Gertze, I don't know if you are there and if you want me to read the question or you want to ask it yourself. Okay, so maybe they are not here. So Monopoly, because I don't know if that's the person's name or just what it appeared, but that's the name we got. Was asking a question around the future and utopians and long-term visions, which I also mentioned now. So I don't know if I would love for you to articulate your question, Monopoly. I don't know if you are there.
See, he left. I think.
Okay. So I'm gonna move to Eli. You have a question here as well. I wonder if you are here. I can see you. I would love to hear another voice. So please ask the question.
Sure. Thank you, Maria. I mean, Florencia, you started answering that question already. My question was around trust and like, how do you maintain and build trust, especially in an environment with a lot of diversity and complexity, and especially that piece around building trust and maintaining trust with leaders. But I think you spoke to that in some way already. So I don't know if there's more to say.
Can I add something? Yes, adding for what Flor said, I think trust, you can like have trust when you spend time with someone. So when you like share spaces, share time with different people, despite the fact that they may thought in a different way as you will have trust on them. That's I think it's the power of like having grassroots committees with people that think in different ways, because they get your comrades and you can trust on them. You don't think that like they want you to have bad experiences. That's the first thing. I think it's very important for that. And the second one is to have rules. I think we always talk about the Frente Amplio way of this decision.